reading and phonics works in reception. So at the moment, this is what reading probably looks like for your child. So basically, our job is to help your child make sense of what these squiggles look like, or what words look like to me and you. So these squiggles actually say, welcome to the school. But obviously you probably didn't know that either. So why do we use phonics to help our children read? So the main reason is to help them make sense of words. It also allows them to put a sound to a letter, because most of the time when we are reading words, we don't use the letter names. When we're sounding out words, we use the sounds that they make. And it just helps, it then helps them convey that information and make sense of it, basically. So in school, we follow the letters and sounds scheme, but we also will pick bits and bobs from other schemes as well. I'm probably not going to use the Jolly Phonics actions this year, as we found in previous years that the children actually make the connection that the symbol for doing a hand movement for a snake is but it's not. We want them to be saying the sound, but we have been using cursive letter formation pictures as well to help them form the letters when they need to write. So the first part of phonics, though, we'll do phase 1 games, and this is to develop their speaking and listening skills, and to try and tune them into what the sounds are around them. And it also begin to build their oral segmenting and blending skills. Although we've sort of done our focus on phase 1 phonics for this year, we will dip in and out of the activities as well. And there's some on the Acorn class page on the school website if you felt your child's listening skills aren't as good as you'd hoped, then there is activities on the website if you wanted to have a go at those at home. As I said, we have done a lot of this in class already, but we will revisit it throughout the year. So there's 7 aspects, each focusing on a different thing. The oral segmenting and blending is probably the one that we've focused on the most over the last few weeks. So basically, looking at my pictures here, if I said to you, can you see the j, a, you might then blend that word back together to say jam. And that is how we'd expect the children initially to understand the sounds in a word. So I might then say, can you find that the ring? And that's what the child would then say back to me. Oh, I can see the ring, and then they'd find it on the picture. Please let me know if you've got any questions as we go along, because I might be going far too quickly and you're still thinking, what the hell is she going on about? But yeah, please jump in if there's anything you want to ask. So this is the bit we are learning about at the moment. So we're learning about the phase 2 of the letters and sounds scheme. This phase teaches 19 letter sounds and also some words that we call tricky words. The tricky words are words that the children need to learn on sight, because they can't be sounded out using the letter sounds that they're going to learn. They just don't work. We focus on the pure sounds and not the letter names, although we have introduced the letter names to the children, as we found this year quite a lot of children already knew those. So we didn't want to sort of rewrite what you've done at home. So we've been introducing the letter name first. So for example, for S, we called it S and explained that S makes the sound, just a bit like you'd have a dog and that's the name of that animal, and it would make a woof as its sound, or a bark. So another example, we would sound E, we would sound out as an not as an E, and the the F is sounded as a F and not as an F. And what quite a couple of the children I've noticed, particularly for the M, instead of saying they're saying M. And this is something we need to avoid, because we need it to be a pure sound, as opposed to adding the on the end. S, M, P, H. We need to make sure they're a P, S, etc. And after phase 2, we will be moving on to phase 3, which probably not till after Christmas, probably mid-January, February time. And this phase introduced digraphs and trigraphs, which are basically 2 and 3 letters that make one sound, and further tricky words. And then phase 4 we may get onto in the summer term, which will just collate what we've done throughout the year, looking at longer words, and then also more tricky words will be added. As we go through the year, we'll give you more information about sort of phase 3 and what that entails. Tomorrow the children will be given a phonics information pack to take home, and there'll be some further explanations in there about digraphs and trigraphs for you, but don't worry too much about that at the moment. So at this stage in phonics, we're mainly focusing on the segmenting and blending for reading. So this is where we are putting a sound to a letter. So once the children know the different letter sounds, they'll start applying this to their reading, and you might have already seen that at home already. So the blending is when we say separate sounds are spoken aloud, and they're merged back together again. So this is the segmenting part. The b, e, l would become bell, and then if we were segmenting a word, cat would become k, at. Usually the segmenting is used more for the writing, because we encourage the children to hear each sound in the word. So the words cat, they might say, oh, I can hear a k, and then there's an a, oh, and then I can hear a t at the end. And the blending is used more when we're actually reading the words, using their in phonics, or when they're reading their reading books at home. Now I know a lot of the children, most of the class are still on the wordless books, but over the next few weeks we will be sending home books that have words in, once we ensure they're confident with their segmenting and blending skills. So what can you do at home to help your child? You can use the letter sounds and not the letter names as much as possible. Obviously they do need to know both, so please don't favour the letter sounds over the letter names. Do both. Writing lowercase letters where possible, except for when a word needs a capital. For example, their name, we always teach them that their name needs a capital letter at the front. Now, obviously, for some letters, this looks slightly different to the lowercase letter, and that is something we explain to the children as we go through the year when it comes up, more so once they've got a reading book with words in. Encourage your children to recognise letters when you're at home, in the kitchen, on food packaging, when you're out and about in the street, when you're at the shop, when you're looking at a book or a magazine. And most importantly, continue to read with your child and enjoy a wide variety of books. It doesn't have to be story books, it can be magazines, comics, information books, cookery books, whatever your child is interested in, because the last thing we want to do is sort of put them off reading. As long as they're reading something, you're sharing something at home with them that they are interested in, that is the main thing, basically. So most of the children have began on wordless reading books, and the idea of this is to develop their storytelling skills, talk about the characters, what's happening, what might the characters say. Once your child's become more confident and secure with letter sounds, they'll bring home a reading book, probably containing initial sounds, where you've got the sound on one page, and on the next page you've got to find different objects that start with that sound. And then once they're confident with that, they'll bring home a book where they can segment and blend single words to start with, but some of the books have a couple of words on each page, and then eventually more longer sentences in a book. We ask that you read with your child at least 3 times a week, and we aim to read with them each child once a week in school. But don't make it a chore. You know, if your child is really not up for it, then don't worry about it. Come back to it another day. It's not, you know, we're not going to penalise you if you haven't read a certain number of times in the week. We just ask that you read as often as you feel your child can. Reading a book more than once is okay. You know, you can look at different things each time you come back to that book. And we'll change reading books on a Tuesday and a Friday. I know they weren't changed last Friday, but hopefully as we continue, they'll be changed on Tuesdays and Fridays. We only chose them twice a week because it is quite a big chore of it, because we've got to go through every child's book to check they've read, and then they've got to select a new book. Once your child's more confident with their reading books, we might send home more than one. As we know, obviously some of the more simpler stories can get a bit boring. And remember, not all children learn at the same rate, so your child might be at a different stage to where their friend is at, and that is okay. Eventually they will all be able to read and write to a sufficient standard, and your child needs support even if they can already read basic words. If you find that your child is finding phonics or listening more difficult, there is generally a link between their listening skills or their hearing, and we advise you to get it checked out if this is a concern for you. And of course, we're always here to help, so if there is anything that you feel you need to know more about or need a better explanation of, then please do let us know, because the last thing we want is you suffering in silence at home thinking, oh, my child's doing this, or I've explained it like this, but I'm not sure if it's the right way. So please do let us know if there is anything else you need support with. Thank you. So that was a lot quicker than I was expecting. Has anybody got any questions? No? No questions? Okay, well, thank you very much for coming. Yeah, if there is anything you think of, then please do let us know. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Bye.
Was it